Hi there. I'm Nu-Trix, and today I'm looking into my next sampler. So this is kind of a sampler shootout of early 2026. What's on the market today? What is in the used market today? To tell a story short, in 2025, I got back into using sampling in my workflow because one of the devices that I bought, the drum log, has sample capacity, and I started to use it as a sampler playback and not as a drum at that point. It kind of opened back an old way of me basically using sampling part of the sound design and workflow of making music. So with that in mind, I've been looking at the market for a while now to get a sampler or to add a sampler to the workflow that I have and to think about what I could do. So I broke it down into 3 types of samplers. First of all, what's interesting today is that when you look at samplers in a store online, most of them will be hidden inside the drum and sampler section. So it is by itself a telltale. It tells us that basically samplers now are mostly seen as groovebox or drum machines, or a drum machine as a sampler section. Of course, you can put any type of sample to play, but I'm looking at a sampler that I can just, again, use in a song, so either as an instrument, chromatic, or as a drum, slicing samples. And this is something that most of the samplers do today. I'm not a performer, so I can perform, but this is not my goal. I'm going to mostly perform to record and then tweak it and then program it. So in my mindset, I prefer to have something with deeper control and a graphic that helps me understand what's happening than having an interface where it's mostly performance. Like the SP404 is not in my list because it's not something that I feel would be the right tool for me. So I need something that, yes, can do live performance if I need to, but I mostly want to have a powerful sequencer. I want a song mode if I can. I want to be able to interface with the others, maybe control other things or react to other things. So in the first section, I would call them almost DAW-like devices. And in these, I put the Syntstrom Deluge, the Polyend Play, and the Akai MPC. So these, if I go at the Syntstrom Deluge, you have a massive synthesizer, sequencer, sampler. It's limited by the amount of CPU, basically. It can sample, it can playback, it can run on battery. It has different type of synthesis. You got subtractive, you got FM, you got granular. It does sampling, it does overdubbing. There's an internal mic, you can use it to record. There's a speaker on it. So it's straight from the SD card, so streaming. So unlimited amount of recording. We're about $2,000 Canadian plus tax. But still, this would be too much. I want to pay the least amount of money if I can. But I still want to have a piece of hardware that is a main piece that will keep its value, but I will be able to go back to and remember how it works. I feel that the Deluge has a steep learning curve, and that if you don't use it every day, at one point you go, okay, where is that? Because there's the interface, it's a very small screen. You just have this. So it's really just to give you feedback. The rest is basically everything else. Of course, I would have to play with it to know how deep understanding I have for the whole thing, to be able to quickly use it every time, even if I haven't used it for a couple of months. For now, for the price, it's going to be a no. And I'm not looking for a full DAW. I'm looking for adding a sampler with sampling, mangling capacities, if you want, to add to the studio. Because I want the Syntakt Elektron to be my main piece that controls everything else. So the next one is the MPC One, is MPC One Plus. The price are okay for this. The MPC One, even new at the store right now, is $1,000 Canadian. So the price is good. But still, when I look online, it's mostly what I feel, especially for these unit, is that you're basically playing the screen. You're playing in 7-inch screen. So I'm feeling that if I go with this, I could use my iPad instead and use my iPad as a main unit. But the problem with an iPad and running a software, of course, it doesn't cost me more. I need to have a sampler in it. But in long term, and I'll do another video about long-term value of your songs, because I'm working right now on songs that I made 20, 30 years ago, and I'm reusing some part of them. And it's because I thought already at that moment that I wanted to keep these for the long run. So an iPad, sadly, the apps stopped working at one point. The iPad stopped working, and there's a lot of ND companies on the iPad. If they don't do the update, you're basically one day stuck with the software not working anymore. So your instrument is gone. So that's why I prefer to have a hardware piece of gear that even if the company does not exist, that piece of gear works. And that even with a computer, I want it to work, because one day the computer will not be supported for that piece of gear. So that's why I like something like the Syntakt. Even without the computer, it's still a piece of gear that does everything I need to. So that logic is for me very important. So the MPC is more like having a computer in the box with controllers. For right now, that's not what I'm looking for. But I am super curious about having one day. So I'm really waiting until the used market give us, locally an MPC One Plus at like $500. I'll take it. My next one is the Polyend Play. The Polyend Play, I like it because I like the Polyend design and a way of doing things. I really had a blast working with the tracker in the past. But tracker is not something that I want to do full time or I want to use all the time, so I don't have the tracker today. The Play is more of a way of mindset that I would see myself work with, but the Play is only, 8 voices, 6 voices. What's the number here? The Play is 8 voices. Basically, the Play and the Digitack One is very similar. 8 voices each, mono each. It's similar in the limits that you have, and the Play Plus has stereo instead of mono, and it also has a synthesizer in it. So it becomes more of a full-fledged DAW in a way. It's not a DAW, but you have everything to make a song because you've got the sampling and you have the synthesizer and a very powerful sequencer. That's what is interesting for me from this is if I would have a Play Plus and the Syntakt, it means I would have the two main high-end sequencer today or workflow that exist, and I could just explore the two and use them at the same time. So that's kind of where I find this interesting, but at the same time, the price for the Play Plus is a little bit high for me right now, but I think I'm going to wait until you have a better price. But still, the other part that I find that is a stop is that the Play does not record. The Play of the Play Plus does not record audio. These are not samplers. These are playing back samples. So in a workflow type of approach, I know I would have to spend more time preparing the samples before getting into making music. And one of the reasons that I'm looking for a sampler, it's not that. It's actually to run with the songs and say, hey, I would add this, or I could sample this. And then you sample it right away. You tweak it in the machine, and you're ready to go. So the Play or the Play Plus is something I want to have one day to really learn and see, and I'm curious about it, but it will not fit what I'm looking for today as a sampler to fill the rest of my studio or my workflow. So the next one would be something like the circuit. I put it there because the circuit is part of the list of things that you might look at. I personally add a circuit, original one, and I have a mono station circuit. I have a love and hate relationship with the circuit. The fact that you don't have a screen giving you information and feedback, and you have always to figure out which button I'm on, which one is on. For me, is if I don't use it in a frequent manner, I would gradually lose, the muscle memory of, oh, this is where it is, this is where it is, because there's no visual feedback to remind me, okay, you're clicking here, this is where you're at, and this is the value you can play with. And on top of that, the rhythm is 8 voice, mono, 8 tracks. So because of that, it's really aimed to be a drum machine, and it's less to be what I want to have is a sampler creating environment, so I can play with the samples to make something else with it. Next one is the SonicWare SampleTrek. Now, SonicWare has a lot of weird and fun samplers. A lot of them are lo-fi. When I look here, this one is not the lo-fi one. This is the SampleTrek. This one is pretty interesting because for the price we're talking about $550 Canadian new plus tax and about $420 Canadian used. And this is a portable device. You have a microphone here. You have a speaker here. You've got a interesting graphic interface where you see sampling, you see your tracks. It works a little bit like clips you can play, or what they call scenes, if I'm not mistaken. You can play different clips, and these will basically play a little bit like live. It doesn't mean like live, but some of the mindset of what it is. So you have 10 of them, if I'm not mistaken, plus 3 full-length recording. So because it works on SD card, you could have these patterns, if you want, they call scenes, play and loop, and then you could record your voice on top, or your guitar, so you get 3 full-length recording for the length of the song on top of what you have in the loop. So this is, again, a pretty complete set to create a whole song into one box. It's not what I'm looking for, but still the option of modifying the sounds and chopping them and playing them and bringing them into something else is really interesting in the SonicWare. So it could be an option, and the price is right. I mean, you have something affordable in this one. You have time stretch, auto slice, pitch shift, you got effects, 36 different type of effects, battery powered. So it's a cool piece of gear. So I'm looking for that as one of the options for me. The Seqtrak from Yamaha. Now the Seqtrak from the Yamaha, it looks like an OP something inspired box. I think it is. It looks more plasticky. It looks fragile, which I can't say, but I haven't touched it, so I don't think it is, because I don't think people are talking about it being broken or anything. It has a speaker on it. It has a microphone on it, so it's a portable device. So it's all about having the fun of recording anything and making a song out of it. So it's pretty cool. There's a new update that just came out in 2026, which add drum kits to it. So instead of having kick, snare, and hi-hat on different tracks and then limited the amount of sound you can play, you can have a drum kit on one. So of course, you've got all the sound of the drum kit that goes into one single effects. If you put reverb, everything's going to be in reverb. But this logic is interesting. It adds more sound to be able, and there's the same thing for synth kit. So Syntakt. So there's different ways that makes it more interesting. It does FM synthesis for operators, and it does advanced wave memory 2 synthesis from Yamaha. So it's a synthesizer. So it goes with the, not full DAW, because it's not a DAW, but a full groove box type of piece. Still, the one thing that I don't like is that to be able to see anything, you need to have the software. One day the software will not be supported, and then that piece will be just using what it's on it. And I find that the visual feedback of it is very limited. And the update, you see, you have to press on different buttons at the same time, because there's buttons on the side, buttons at the top, and you have to press that at the same time to change the parameter to be able to record parameter lock. This seems physically to me to be awkward, because it's supposed to be a portable device, and then you need to press on it and turn. It's just weird to hold it this way. And there's no visual feedback, like a screen showing you the sample. So it's not really something that I see that I would feel comfortable sampling with it and then mangling the sound, changing all the values I want, and then play it back. I think it's more like, okay, you sample a piano, you play a piano. Sample a drum, you play a drum. So if that's how you want to do it, and the price is interesting, go for it. But for me, it will not be my option this time. The next one, comparing all the Digitack 1 and 2. Now, the Digitack 1 and 2, what's interesting, when you look at a piece of gear that is older online, you'll see that people are talking about the review of the original release. And then when you look at that, you go, the Digitack, oh, it doesn't do a lot. It's just sample playback, and that's it. And then when you look at all the different updates they had since, basically the Digitack 1 does same thing almost as the Digitack 2, outside of the fact that the Digitack 2 is stereo, recording and playback, and has more features. But if you look at the different, it has a song mode now. It has a graphic interface to play with. So that's, for me, it's important to have. And you have the one shot, the warp, the stretch, the repitch, the grid, these different ways of working. I think most of them, maybe not the grid, but the other one, the one shot, the warp, the stretch, and the repitch now exist in Digitack 1. So outside of the fact that Digitack 1 is mono, it would be a good buy. If I find a stupid price on it, I'll buy it mono. But I would be better off waiting for the Digitack 2 because you can play more voices. You go from 8 to 16, and the 16s are stereo, plus the effects. And I'm guessing, because it's Elektron, there's going to be updates for the Digitack 2. Might not be for the Digitack 1, I don't know. So the price is $1,450 Canadian. It's still in the high-end price. Used would be better for me. And I know now, I'm learning the Elektron sequencer with the Syntakt, so it'd be easy for me to switch between the two. So it would be a plus. So it's part of the yes, I could. And we have now also the Teenage Engineering, the KO2 or the EP133. I like this one because you can find it used on the market today. The price is nuts. I mean, it's a good, even the original price is $299 US, which is about $450 Canadian. Yeah, $430 Canadian. Here you go. It has an update to 2.0, so it does now everything that the EP40, the rhythm with the microphone, and the 13320, the medieval. Now the rhythm, this one has more polyphony playback, and this one has the same parameters and specs as the rhythm, but the EP133 now with version 2 have now the option of playing back 12 mono, 6 stereo. They do scene switching. It's not a song mode per se. The 133 has 64 megs of RAM, and the 13320 and the 40, they have 128 megs of RAM. So more RAMs, but still I could live with this if I had to. Again, what I don't like about this is the fact that you have a graphic interface to play with the sound, and I'm feeling that you have less control over changing the sound, like granular and slowing down and changing the slices and repitching and all that stuff. But you have more of a live performance effects, the Teenage Engineering, like the operator type of approach. Still, this is part of, if I get a good price, I'll pick one to play with. Because, I mean, it's still affordable, but it's going to be on the pause for now because I'm still going to, if I want a main one, I'll go with something that has a graphic interface. The next one, the Roland P-6. I don't want to put the SP404 because I don't like this interface. I never was a fan of it. So I know that I won't be part of this SP404 family. So this one, the Roland P-6, is interesting. If you look at the spec, it does a lot of what the others do. It has the chop, the slice, the parameter lock. I mean, all the advanced sequencer features that you have in the Polyend and the Elektron has influenced everybody else to add it to their sauce, if you want. It does sample. It works on battery. It seems a little bit small for me. It has a market, but I'm not the target audience. The interface with only this information and not a full screen with value says to me that this is really to sample and playback without doing too much of a mangling. There's a granular playback of samples you can really play with and create these big texture sounds. For me, it's not what I'm looking for. This, again, if I get my hands on one, I will play it and will learn. I'm probably going to have fun with it. But as in the main studio to create my songs, I want something more powerful. So you can start to understand where I'm going for right now. The one piece that I'm looking is mostly the Digitack 2, which is Logic. After liking the Syntakt, I'm guessing the Digitack will do what I'm looking for. But right now it's still, $1,400 Canadian. I made a decision this year to say I want to have my buying of gear to be of a net zero, meaning if I buy something, I need to sell something to be able to pay for it. So I don't have to pay by my pocket. I need to, or just a little bit amount if I need to add a little bit of money. But so it means that if I'm buying this, the Digitack 2, for $1,400, I need to sell $1,400 of value of devices that I have. And I'm going to sell the drum log because I've got a Syntakt now. And the sampling part will be replaced by a sampler. So that's why I'm looking for it used. But at the same time, I stop and say, okay, what else do I have in my studio that does sampling? Well, sampling playback, the Micro Freak does it. The Mini Freak does it. It's not a sampler per se, but for some type of playback, I could, because it does granular playback. It does looping. It does. So I'll go, okay. It's more like the play where I have to prepare the sound first, load it in, and then play it. So I'm going to explore that part to see if I can use that. Anyway, I'm going to trigger from the Syntakt. It can be the master controller. And the other thing that I have, and I think I haven't used it for 5 years, and I've been like, okay, maybe I should just dive more into it. It's the VP9000 from Roland. I have the VP9000, which is the grandfather of elastic audio. And I think I'm going to try to do what Digitack 2 is permitting to do with the VP9000. And I'll make a video about it, because if it does work and my sequence is triggered from the Syntakt, then it will answer my need. I'm still going to keep Syntakt, even all the sequence will be in the Syntakt, but it will trigger samples that are in the VP9000 and maybe in the Micro Freak. So today, that's what I'm going to try. I'm still going to sell the drum log to raise some money, because if I find a sampler to come out in the used market at a price that I can buy, I'm probably going to buy it just to learn it, teach it, and if it fits, I'll keep. But if it doesn't, I'll sell again and buy something else and teach it and all that stuff. So right now, my next move is to see how the VP9000 and the Mini Freak, Micro Freak, can be sampler playback or samplers inside my workflow to replace buying a new sampler. We'll see. And I'll have news for you soon about that. If you have any question, put them below. Like always, stay safe, make more music, and I see you soon. Cheers.